What's up, everybody? Welcome to Fantasy Sports Now. Today, I want to try to round out some more of our busts and overvalueds by looking at the outfielders. Update on the wife, she's doing good. We're still in the same location. Hopefully, we can go back to normal here pretty soon. Appreciate everything that you guys have done to sub and to like and all that fun stuff. But I'm a guy content, so let's dive into it. Overvalued. All right, guys, we're jumping right into Christian Yelich again. I'm shocked by this, honestly. Average draft pick is 12th, so in a 12th-man league, people are still taking Christian Yelich in the first round. I understand that Yelich is going to be a bounce-back candidate, and he will likely bounce back, and he was one of the best outfielders in baseball a couple years ago. But last year was a disaster. So far so that I'm more distrusting 2019 than I am sort of believing in what happened in 2020. The answer is obviously somewhere in the middle, but I don't know if 2019 Yelich is ever going to return, and I'm not willing to bet anything on the fact that it will. And taking him at 12th, I feel like, is taking his absolute peak value. In 2020 drafts, I'm sure he was taken a little bit higher, but after 2020's performance, I really feel like he's got to be bumped way further than this. I mean, not way further, top 20 probably, late, early 20s, but first round, at the end of the first round, I would avoid that so bad. I would rather have position scarcity. I would take a pitcher before Yelich, honestly. I just don't know what his knee is doing. I don't know what he was doing in 2020. I don't want to say he didn't care because he looked like the only person in Milwaukee who did care, but it just was not happening. And I watched a lot of Milwaukee for some reason last year, and it was a tough watch, honestly. And to take him again at the end of the first round, no thanks, guys. Next is Ozuna. The reason I have him on here, he obviously re-signed with Atlanta, so that's a good thing. He's going to have to play outfield as of right now because they haven't decided on the DH. It sounds like, and it's leaning towards, there's not going to be a universal DH, which I really think is a shame. So Ozuna's going to have to play a lot more outfield, which I actually personally believe, I don't have the stats to back it up, but I always believe that your DH-only players actually hit better when they are only playing DH. When they actually go and play outfield, I feel like they struggle a little bit more. But the reason I have Ozuna on here isn't because of any of that. It's because I feel like he just had the absolute career year. I don't think that Ozuna could play any better than he did last year, almost winning the MVP. And I just don't want to buy what he did. I want to buy what he's going to do, which is somewhere between 2019 and 2020. Normally, Ozuna is obviously a really good hitter, but if you remember from anywhere from 2015 to 2019, he was more in the top 25 outfield range. It was always like a good value kind of guy. And now all of a sudden, we're taking him in the third round. It just seems too early. I don't want to purchase him, like I said, based on last year alone, because we do have a lot of stats on Ozuna, and everything points towards coming back down to the norm. And like I said, somebody's going to go out and seek him, whereas I'm kind of like, if he falls way back to me, then sure. So that's why I have him as overvalued, because I don't want to pay for that. Next is Randy Arozarena. Doing a lot of research on him. He's still in the MLB's top 100. Similar to Ozuna, but Arozarena had an absolute crazy World Series. So if all you saw was the World Series and the playoffs, you'd be taking Arozarena first overall because he's the next Mike Trout, clearly. He had, I'm willing to say it, he had the best playoffs that I think I have ever seen in my entire life. Now, was that a really hot 2 weeks for a really good player, or was that something lesser than that or more than that? Is he really the next Mike Trout and he's just that good? Or was he crazy, crazy hot for a few weeks and everything just kind of fell together? Well, the truth, again, is somewhere in between. And people are taking, apparently, Arozarena at 59 ADP. 16th overall. This is right around where Michael Conforto is getting taken, a proven asset in fantasy leagues, a proven guy in the Major League Baseball who is going to hit in the heart of the Mets lineup. And to me, that's just crazy talk. I like Randy Arozarena, but I'm not willing to pay the price that people are for the hype. I love hype, but I like having hype guys before they get the hype and then selling them. A Rosarina is probably going to be a good Major League Baseball player, but I cannot. There's no way I'm taking him before a Conforto. There's no chance, and somebody in your league will. So that's where I kind of stand with it, because if he is the guy from the playoffs all the time, then he's undervalued. But there's just I don't see it. There's no way. Next, I want to get into some busts. These are guys that I've always felt that if you take way too high, kind of like a Rosarina, maybe he should have been on the bust list. It's kind of a tough one. He's kind of both. These are guys that I always felt that if you take them and put too much stock into them, you could be in a bad spot. So let's just jump right in. Teoscar Hernandez. Okay, if you're looking for power and power alone, then this might be a good spot. I don't want to get too technical on all of you guys about Hernandez, but if you look at last year and if you know how BABIP works, BABIP, it's a way of us analytic minds to kind of try to rationalize luck. And usually players have, and I don't want to describe the whole thing, but usually people's BABIPs are, like right here, and, each year it kind of does up and downs, but generally the normal is, your career average is right around there, and you stick around your career average. But Hernandez last year, here's his career average. His BABIP was, insane. So essentially that statistic was saying that they felt that a lot of the balls that he hit in play were dropping, where normally they probably would have had a lot more of them get caught. So, they say, single looks the same in the book. Well, it does, but it doesn't to BABIP. It's a little bit different. So it's not a perfect thing, but it is one of these things that we got to be aware of when we're looking at fantasy, because essentially what it means is that if he was way up here in BABIP, that means this year he's going to come back down towards the mean. It's not going to mean he's going to be at the mean, but he's going to come back down towards the mean, which means that statistically he's going to have a worse year. And I think that people are buying him a little too much. I like Toronto's field for home runs. We'll do a Park Factors video probably later this week. But I'm not buying Hernandez at this price, especially if you're in categories league. Average, OBP, are not things you're going to get from him, and knowing that statistically he's already going to come down in pretty much every stat, boy, I'm honestly not sure he'll be starting at the end of the year. I know that's bold. That's a bold statement. They just got Springer. They have a lot of outfielders there. I'm not convinced he's going to start at the end of the season. So that's where I'm at. And at 77 overall, that's tanking your season. Benintendi is, I feel like people might have him on their sleeper lists because he once was kind of a big name prospect. But if you look over the last few years, something has happened, and I feel like unless he has a change of swing or a new mindset, maybe a change of scenery, going to Kansas City, maybe that is the secret sauce that he needs. But if you're still holding on to Benintendi being a premier bat at any facet, change your mind right now. And honestly, I'm passing because I just don't believe it. I would much rather have any outfield prospect that has upside right now. Honestly, I know the whole thing. I already talked about how I don't think Kelenic is going to come up midway through the year, but I would rather take Kelenic than Benintendi because Kelnic's upside is so much higher than a Benintendi. I feel like Benintendi can and will be, a pretty good real life player, but this is fantasy. Our outfielders need to be in the top 25, top 30 at least to be startable, and I don't think he's anywhere near that. And I know Kansas City is not tanking, which is great, actually, for baseball. I think that's fantastic that they're trying. They got Carlos Santana, they got Benintendi, they still have Mondesi. And they signed someone else that I'm completely blanking on. But I like that they're trying, but I don't think that it's going to rejuvenate his career by any means. So if he's on your list of sleepers, I think I would pull that back and rethink that. The last one here is Austin Meadows, and he's kind of another one of these in-betweeners. The problem I have with Meadows is that I feel like he's not really a known secret anymore, and I feel like he just gets hurt too much, and I don't want to invest, even a sleeper pick even if he falls late, and a guy that I have no confidence can play a full season. Even when he came back last year, something just didn't look right with his swing. It just didn't look right. And a lot of people are saying, okay, well, with the spring, he'll bounce back, and with no interruptions and no injuries, and that might be true, and I hope that it is, because none of us want to see a guy go through an injury-plagued, career. I don't want to see. I don't know Austin Meadows. I don't root necessarily for Tampa Bay, but like, I don't want to see him getting hurt and all that. But it seems like until he can prove that to me, I'm not really willing to risk an outfield spot when there's so many healthy, younger, upside outfielders on a guy that I'm not so sure about is going to play or not. So apparently I don't like Tampa Bay's outfield this year, despite them, going to the World Series last year. We'll see. But yeah, so that's the list, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I'm gonna round this out at some point. I'll get the closers going. If you want to sub and get some more, I love it. And hopefully we're back in the normal spot by tomorrow. Appreciate you guys.